going to teach you how to properly foam roll. So first you're going to grab your foam roll and you're going to put it on the bottom or the top of a muscle. Then what you're going to do is lean into that muscle, however that muscle is able to come in contact with the foam roll. And as you come up the muscle, you're going to find spots that are particularly tender in most cases. When you come across one of those tender spots, it's what we call colloquially a knot. So what that means is when we have repetitive movement patterns, our muscles reform along lines of stress. And what we're doing when we are foam rolling or massaging those muscles is to help break down those knots so that when we go into our stretching routine, we can more easily lengthen the muscle. So when you come across one of those knots, you're going to hold that part that's tender for about 30 seconds to help it fully relax. And then once you are done with that spot, you are then ready to move on to your next tender area. And then you hold that. If it feels unduly painful, what I would want you to do is try to back off the pressure a little bit if possible. And if it doesn't feel like anything, you try your best to increase the pressure on that muscle area as much as you can by either lifting a limb and putting more pressure on it or what have you. Now I'll show you just a couple areas that are crucial to foam roll for most people. So the first is going to be your quads. So your quads are right here. They extend from your knee all the way up here, and you're going to foam roll from the top of the kneecap to the bottom of the hip. So you'll place the foam roll here underneath your quad, and we'll slowly roll your body down the foam roll across the muscle. So as I'm rolling, I will find some areas that are tender, like right here, and if I were foam rolling just to foam roll, I would hold this spot for 30 seconds. Next would be hamstrings. So you're just gonna come over the top of the foam roll and do the same foam roll down the muscle. The next would be calves, starting at the bottom of the muscle, and I come up all the way to the knee. Now with calves, and with any muscle group, I'm not just going to foam roll the top of my quads. I'm going to foam roll the top of my quad, the side of my quad. I can even foam roll the inside of my quad. And that all depends. What you're going to focus on most is going to depend on the results of your movement assessment and which muscles in your body are particularly tight. So anyway, when you move to your calf, you're going to slowly move down the calf and then hold those tender areas. Then you turn the foot to the side, foam roll down, and tender area here, hold, and then finish, tender area, hold, and then finish. And I will actually time myself for 30 seconds. And I'm going to turn to the side and foam roll down the side of my calf. You can also do the front of the leg, but you're not going to foam roll the bone. You're going to foam roll to the side, the right of the bone, and to the left of the bone, but not on the bone itself. Then you could do your inner thighs. This is one that's particularly important if you notice that your knees are caving in while you are squatting. So you're going to come over, you're kind of going to lay parallel to the foam roll. You're going to take your leg and bring it over that foam roll to a T, and then roll up the muscle like this. Hold tender area, and then continue all the way up to the groin area. Next, foam rolling favorite would be the mid-back. So laying over the foam roll and slowly rolling up. Sometimes you can get a nice crack out of your back when you do this guy. and then still holding those tender areas. The next one, and one of the most important ones, especially if you do an overhead squat assessment, so you're gonna squat with your hands overhead and you notice that you can't hold your hands over your head without them coming forward. That means you have really tight lats. Your muscles are pulling your arms down, and the muscle that's pulling your arm down is those lats. So what you're gonna do is take the foam roll to the top of the lat here. So it's kind of like right here on the scapula, your shoulder blade, and you're going to roll upward this way down the rib cage and then back up, stopping at those tender areas. Now, one of the things I like to do is here I get a lot of tension in my shoulders, so I'll put my arm up. My arm is fully extended like this. I put my arm up and then I will roll forward and backward across this shoulder blade area, and I'll find often really tender areas right around here, and then I'll just hold those, and I find that to be extremely helpful. The last one I'll show you today is you can foam roll your mid back or your lower back, but be very careful when you do that. So you will come to sit on with the foam roll under your knees, kind of by your butt area. You're going to lay down on the ground, lift up into a bridge, bring that foam roll underneath, and then bring the foam roll and then roll. But be very careful. Some people say you shouldn't foam roll the mid back at all, but if it feels helpful to you, you can go ahead and do it. Just be very cautious. And then finally, there are a couple mobility drills I love to do with my foam roll. So one of them I love to teach my clients is to lay down on the foam roll, and you're going to extend the back over the foam roll, let the head hang heavy, and then breathe out and crunch back up, and do this area at the bottom of the thoracic spine, your upper back, 3 times. Then you're going to roll up to the middle of the shoulder blade area, extend over the foam roll 3 times, nice and slow, no rush, and then same thing at the top. The point of doing this is that we are so often hunched over our devices, and it's very, very helpful to work on extending that back in the opposite direction, as well as doing some other exercises too, where we're twisting the spine, and really working on that spinal mobility can help with back pain really a lot. And then the last one is actually for your low back. A chiropractor taught me this one. If you struggle with low back pain, particularly SI joint pain, what you can do is you actually place your hip bones on the foam roll. You hug the knees to the chest and you kind of lean side to side until you find the side that is kind of more tender. You're going to hold that side to help to even out those hip bones. So I'll show you. I'm going to lay down with my hips up on the foam roll. Okay, get into this position in the safest way possible. I'm not going to let my back arch over because that is not going to be helpful. I'm going to keep my core engaged and I'm going to keep my glutes engaged so that my hips are nice and level on the foam roll. And now I'm going to kind of roll from side to side until I find a spot that's a little bit tender. I'm going to hold that, and it's going to help to even out my hip bones. Okay, and then I forgot one of my favorite foam rolling exercises, so we'll circle back to those, is the glute area. So there's a couple ways to do this. You can just do it with your legs extended if your glutes are really sore, and that'll get more of your glute maximus area. If you cross the leg over your knee, you're going to get more into those deeper glute muscles. roll those out. And what this can do sometimes is it can help to even out those hips. So you might have one hip that's canted slightly forward and one hip that's canted slightly back. When you're foam rolling, particularly your glutes, you can help to release some of the muscles that are pulling this glute back, and then it will help the glutes to even out. The other thing you can do is spend more time foam rolling the front of the hip and the side of the hip on the front area. So one side you might have a tight front of hip area, and one side you might have a tight back of hip area, the glute. And so by foam rolling the hips, that can help solve a lot of back pain issues. Other awesome self-myofascial technique kind of devices you can use would be just a tennis ball, and really work on getting into those knot areas that you really struggle with pain in. And then you can also use a blade, not like a knife blade, but like a self-myofascial blade, and work on gently massaging those muscles with a more, just a smaller surface area. And then also those massage guns, not good for people who are sensitive, who struggle with, you know, their spines going easily out of alignment, in my opinion. But if you find that it's helpful for you, absolutely a great tool to use and to keep around the house, and basically a good free massage. I have another foam roller by Urban Fit that is orange and it vibrates. That helps after I have like endurance training sessions where I'm running for very long periods of time, and my calves especially, or my quads get really tight. Helps to get some of that, I feel, lactic acid or just the acidity out of my muscles so that I can recover more easily. So I'm a big fan of foam rolling. Foam rolling is a very important part of a robust fitness routine, and also a great option to do when you are feeling sick, or when you're feeling just overtired, or because when we are working on an entire fitness routine, we're working on a wholesome wellness routine. Our goal is to better the entire functioning of the body altogether. So I'm not just trying to lose weight, I'm trying or gain muscle, or get to my triathlete goals. My goal is to make my whole system work better together so I can be a healthy person. So when I'm working on that foam rolling, it's helpful for me to do those to help those overactive muscles relax, and so that my muscles can go back into their proper movement patterns. For example, if I have a tight hip flexor and a really loose or overextended hamstring, what's going to happen is I'm going to get an increased arch in my low back because I have a tight hip flexor and an overextended hamstring. So when I work on foam rolling my quad, that helps it to lengthen so I can stretch it more effectively, so that I can build strength in my hamstring, and this arch in my low back can slowly start to diminish and my back pain starts to go away. So there are so many uses for foam rolling, an incredible practice. I highly encourage you to try it and to get yourself a foam roller. They're really cheap, like $10. You can buy them at Target, on Amazon, anywhere. If you're looking for a particular suggestion, just go ahead and send me a DM on Instagram at Julia Lemons Fitness, and you can follow the Survival of the Fitness podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and go ahead and connect with me on social media. On Facebook, I'm Julia Lemons Fitness as well, so I'd love to connect with you. Send me a message. I am taking new clients currently here in August 2022, so let me know if you're interested in working with me virtually or in person in Minnesota. Thanks so much for watching. Like this video and help me out. Leave comments with any questions you have. Thanks so much for watching.